Overwatch, the rise, the fall, and the future of Blizzard's greatest hero shooter. Imagine launching a brand new multiplayer game in 2016. Within days, millions of players are logging in. Streamers can't stop playing it. Fan art floods the internet. Cosplayers bring its colorful heroes to life, and every major gaming website calls it one of the best shooters ever made. It feels less like the release of a video game and more like the birth of a cultural phenomenon. That game was Overwatch. For Blizzard Entertainment, it represented something they hadn't attempted in nearly 2 decades, an entirely new universe. After years of Warcraft, Diablo, and Starcraft, the studio stepped away from familiar worlds and introduced a vibrant future filled with heroes, optimism, and fast-paced team combat. Against all expectations, players embraced it immediately. But the story of Overwatch isn't simply about success, it's about how one of the most celebrated multiplayer games ever created slowly became one of the most controversial. To understand why, we need to go back long before Tracer blinked onto our screens. Before Overwatch, Blizzard was developing a massive MMO called Titan. The project lasted nearly 7 years and consumed enormous amounts of time, money, and talent. Developers envisioned a living online world where players balanced ordinary jobs with superhero lives. The ambition was incredible, but the project struggled with constant redesigns and shifting ideas. Eventually, Blizzard made the painful decision to cancel it completely. Instead of giving up, a small group of developers decided to build something much smaller. Their goal wasn't to create the biggest game in the world anymore. They wanted to create the most enjoyable one. The prototype was simple: unique heroes, compact maps, clear objectives, and matches that lasted only a few minutes. Yet everyone inside Blizzard became addicted to it. Developers stayed after work just to play one more round. They realized they had discovered something special. When Overwatch was officially revealed at BlizzCon 2014, the audience exploded with excitement. The cinematic trailer introduced characters full of personality rather than generic soldiers. Tracer's energy, Reaper's mystery, Winston's optimism, and Widowmaker's deadly precision immediately captured players' attention. Blizzard wasn't selling weapons or realism, they were selling heroes. The closed beta only increased the excitement. Every hero felt completely different. One match you could be a cybernetic ninja deflecting bullets. The next, a scientist gorilla launching himself across rooftops. Nobody worried about optimal strategies because everyone was still discovering the game together. Losing rarely felt frustrating because simply experimenting with heroes was entertaining. When Overwatch launched in May 2016, it became an instant hit. Critics praised its polished gameplay, colorful art direction, and accessibility. New players could enjoy the game without mastering complicated mechanics, while experienced FPS veterans found endless opportunities to improve. Blizzard had achieved something incredibly rare, a competitive shooter that was also welcoming to casual audiences. The heroes themselves became the game's greatest strength. Every character had a memorable silhouette, unique voice lines, and distinct abilities. Even people who never played Overwatch recognized Tracer, Diva, Genji, Mercy, and Reaper. Blizzard expanded the universe through animated shorts, comics, and seasonal events, giving fans reasons to care about the characters beyond gameplay. Then came competitive play. As players improved, balance became increasingly important. Certain heroes dominated while others disappeared entirely. Every update sparked heated debates across the community. Some believed Blizzard patched the game too slowly. Others argued that constant balance changes prevented the game from feeling consistent. Nothing demonstrated this problem better than the infamous GOATS meta. Teams discovered that using free tanks and free supports was dramatically stronger than traditional damage-focused compositions. Professional matches became repetitive, and many DPS players felt completely useless. Fans grew tired of watching nearly identical games for months. Blizzard eventually introduced role queue, forcing teams into 2 tanks, 2 damage heroes, and 2 supports. While controversial at first, the change restored hero diversity and remains one of the most significant gameplay updates in Overwatch history. Not every memorable moment came from balance changes. Overwatch became famous for hilarious bugs. Bastion once dealt absurd amounts of damage after unexpected interactions. May occasionally trapped players in impossible locations. Doomfist punches launched enemies into the sky. Wrecking Ball discovered strange physics exploits that allowed him to reach places developers never intended. Speedrunners and content creators spent countless hours searching for glitches, turning bugs into entertainment rather than frustration. Meanwhile, Blizzard invested heavily in esports. The Overwatch League promised city based franchises, $1 million investments, and television quality broadcasts. At first, the future looked incredibly bright. Packed arenas, professional production, and superstar players suggested Blizzard had built the next great esport. Unfortunately, reality proved more complicated. The league struggled with declining viewership, frequent meta problems, and eventually the global pandemic. Although incredible matches were played throughout its history, the league never fully reached the mainstream popularity Blizzard had envisioned. Then came one of the biggest turning points in the franchise's history, Overwatch 2. Blizzard promised a sequel featuring upgraded visuals, new heroes, expanded PvP, and, most importantly, an ambitious cooperative PvE mode filled with progression systems and replayable missions. Many fans accepted the content drought in the original game because they believed Blizzard was preparing something revolutionary. Years passed, content slowed dramatically, events became repetitive, communication nearly disappeared. Players remained patient because they expected the sequel to justify the wait. When Overwatch 2 finally launched, the gameplay itself felt smoother than ever. The shift from 6 vs 6 to 5 vs 5 made matches faster and more dynamic. Tanks became powerful frontline heroes instead of shield generators. New characters like Kiriko, Junker Queen, and Ramatra brought fresh mechanics and exciting strategies. But the excitement didn't last long. Blizzard announced that the ambitious PvE progression system, the feature that justified creating a sequel in the first place, had been cancelled. Many players felt betrayed. They had waited years believing an entirely new experience was coming, only to learn it would never exist. The business model had changed as well. Loot boxes disappeared. The game became free to play. Cosmetics moved into an expensive in game shop. Some players appreciated easier access for newcomers, while others argued that skins had become significantly more expensive than before. Despite the criticism, one thing remained true. The gameplay itself was still exceptional. Even critics admitted that few hero shooters could match Overwatch's fluid movement, satisfying abilities, and unique hero design. Every match still created unforgettable moments. A perfectly timed Earth Shatter, a miraculous Mercy Resurrection, a Genji Dragon Blade wiping an entire team. Those moments reminded players why they fell in love with the game years earlier. Today, Overwatch exists in a strange position. It is no longer the unstoppable phenomenon it once was, yet it refuses to disappear. Millions continue playing every month. Blizzard continues introducing heroes, maps, and balance updates. The community still debates every patch with incredible passion. Perhaps that's the greatest proof of Overwatch's impact. People don't argue this passionately about games they don't care about. Overwatch may have stumbled, it may have disappointed its fans more than once. But its core idea, a world where wildly different heroes work together to achieve the impossible, remains just as compelling today as it was in 2016. Few games have experienced such incredible highs, few have endured such painful lows, and even fewer continue fighting for a second chance. Whether Overwatch ultimately becomes Blizzard's greatest comeback story or remains a reminder of missed potential is a question only time can answer. But one thing is certain: the world could always use more heroes.